Good morning, dear learners. To remind you a bit, my name is Singoma Anatolius. I'm going to take you through paper 1 of Physical Geography of East Africa. The Physical Geography of East Africa is made up of one compulsory number, the Physical Geography of East Africa, also paper 1, it is made up of one compulsory number, that is map work, which we looked at. Then section B is made up of landform development, then it is made up of weathering. It is made up of weathering rivers and lakes, mass wasting, and so many more others. Then another section, which is section C, made up of vegetation, soil, and climate. So, briefly, we have already seen map work. We looked at map work previously, but now let us go to another new topic. To begin with, we shall begin with this topic of we all know the lakes of East Africa. There are very many lakes in East Africa. There are very many lakes in East Africa, and among those lakes, that's where we have lakes Victoria, Lake Kyoga, Lake Albert, Lake Edward, Lake George, Lake Tanganyika, Lake Malawi, Lake Eyasi, Turkana, we have lakes Bunyonyi, Mutanda, Mulehe, we have lakes Natron, we have Lake Katwe, we have lakes like Teleki, we have lakes like Lake Bunaya, of course, and many more others. So these lakes were formed by different processes in East Africa, and that's what exactly we want to look at. Lake formation in East Africa. How these lakes were formed in East, how these lakes were formed in East Africa. So though these lakes are very many in East Africa, Of course, there are very many processes that led to the formation of these lakes. Some were formed by volcanicity, others were formed by faulting, others were formed by downwarping, and so many other processes. So, the processes of lake formation. The first process is, let us look at lakes due to faulting. Lakes due to faulting. Lakes due to faulting are very many, and most of the lakes in East Africa were formed by this process, the process of faulting. So what happens? First of all, what are these lakes? Lakes due to faulting include lakes in East Africa. They include lakes Albert, Edward, George, Naivasha, Eyasi, and so many more others. How were they formed? So these lakes were formed by the process of and in most cases we call them fault lakes. They were formed when they are formed due to tension and compression forces. Remember we said that these lakes are we mainly call them Rift Valley lakes. We mainly call them Rift Valley lakes. Their formation begins with the process of Rift Valley formation, and we know that the East African Rift Valley is attributed to two theories that explain their formation. So for instance, the East African Rift Valley, especially the western arm of the East African Rift Valley, was formed by the process of tension and compression. Let us begin by looking at tension force. The tension force theory. This theory was propounded by a man called Grigore. W.J. Grigore. He explains the formation of the Rift Valley in using the theory of tension. And according to him, the Earth's crust was subjected to tension forces that pulled it apart. So the pulling apart of the Earth's crust led to the formation of lines of weaknesses called the fault lines. So that is, we are trying to explain the tension force theory. We are using the tension force theory to explain the formation of the East African, lakes within the Rift Valley of East Africa. So first and foremost, we have to explain how the Rift Valley was formed. Then from the Rift Valley formation, we can explain how the lakes were formed. So after the lines of weaknesses were created, this was followed by the sinking. By the sinking, of the what? The central block, leaving the side blocks hanging. Leaving the side blocks hanging on their own weight. Creating a depression, creating a valley. So this explains the formation of the Rift Valley. So, but it doesn't explain the formation of the lake. However, the Rift Valley Lake is formed whenever there is a secondary faulting, taking place. Secondary faulting took place in the floor of the Rift Valley. Took place in the floor of the Rift Valley, creating a depression within a depression. Creating a depression within a depression, and this was later filled with water. To become a Rift Valley Lake. So this is how the Rift Valley Lakes are formed. They are formed when there is secondary faulting. When there is a secondary faulting taking place in the Rift Valley. So initially there was a formation of the Rift Valley, as we have explained. According to W.J. Gregory, he tells us that the Earth's crust was subjected to tension forces that were pulling the Earth crust apart. So the pulling apart of the Earth's crust led to the formation of lines of weaknesses, which we have called faulty lines. So the process of continued. The process of tension force continued to pull apart, and it forced the side blocks to remain hanging and sink in its own weight, causing a very big valley. And this valley is what we are referring to as the Rift Valley. Briefly, it explains how the East African Rift Valley was formed, together with the two arms, that is the western arm of the East African Rift Valley, and then the southern arm, the eastern arm of the East African Rift Valley. However, second faulting took place in the floor or in the floor of the already existing Rift Valley. The Rift Valley was attacked by another process of faulting, creating a depression within the Rift Valley. This depression was later filled with water to become a Rift Valley lake. And such lakes in East Africa, that's where we have lakes Victoria. No, that's where we have lakes Albert, Edward, George. We have those ones are in Uganda. Then we have Turkana. We have Magadi, Naivasha. Those ones are in Kenya. Then in Tanzania we have Tanganyika and Malawi. So that's by illustration, this is what happened. This was before faulting. The earth crust was mainly divided into these three. That was before faulting. Then, during the process of faulting, lines of weaknesses started to emerge. Lines of weaknesses that we are calling fault lines started to emerge like this. We have called these ones fault lines. And tension force is pulling apart the Earth's crust. Tension force. So initially this is how the earth crust was, but later on when it was attacked by tension force, fault lines emerged because of the continuous pulling. Actually the earth crust was divided up into three blocks. Block A, then block B, and block C, as a result of faulting. Now, after faulting, after faulting, so this is what happened later on. So that's after faulting. Now this is our Rift Valley. Within the Rift Valley, another small valley was created. This Rift Valley was later on filled with water to become a Rift Valley lake. To become a Rift Valley lake. So that's where we have our examples of such Rift Valley lakes. Examples of Rift Valley lakes in East Africa include, we have named them, we have Lake Albert, we have Lake Edward and George, we have Lake Turkana, we have Lake Magadi, we have Naivasha, we have Lake Natron, we have Lake Eyasi, we have Lake Tanganyika, we have Lake Malawi, and so many more others. They were formed by this process of tension and compression. So the first theory to explain was the tension force theory, which was explaining the formation of the East African Rift Valley. Now, there is another theory that explains the formation of the Rift Valley lakes, which we sometimes call the Graben lakes. This theory is called the compression force theory, that was propounded by a man called E.J. Whelan. It was propounded by a man called E.J. Whelan. And according to him, he explains the formation of the Rift Valley lakes using the compression. He tells us that the Earth's crust was first with the forces that were pushing into the center, which forces he called the compression forces.